Destroyed in seconds? Well, they certainly could be if you're not careful. Hi, welcome back to St Blazey Model World. Now, one of the very first videos I made was about taking apart an EFE double-decker bus for a Code 3 project. If you missed that video, you'll find a link to it in the top right hand corner of the screen now. Since then, I've been asked several times about single-deck EFE models and are the principles the same. So I thought while I venture on with changes to my railway baseboard, it'd be a good time to start having a look at one of these single-deck buses, and we'll see what's involved. Now, the subject of this video is going to be this model here, AEC RF Bus London Transport, and its EFE serial number 23304. That's the box, and the red single-deck bus is the model. I've got a few of these, and the one I'm going to use for this video is the one that came out of this box here. And the reason why I'm going for that one is that the box is in poor condition. It's heavily worn and it's got some yellowing on it, which might not be immediately obvious on the camera, but you'll remember my video, don't buy this stuff. It's no good for a collector's point of view. So let's start having a play with it. And remember the golden rule: if you are doing these tasks for the first time, don't use your most expensive models to experiment on. And that applies whether they're model buses, trains, cars, trucks, boats, aeroplanes, anything. Always start practicing with something that hasn't cost you very much money. Now, just before we get into our single deck model, a brief recap on the double deck versions. They have 2 poles and 2 clips holding them all together, and you can just see the first pole just there, and there's a second one just there in front of that window or behind that window there. And when we turn the model over, we'll see the 2 clips that correspond to those poles. So I'll just tip this one on its side. There's the first clip there, that's on the bottom of the first pole that I pointed out, and the second clip is there, and that's on the second pole. So you remove those clips and then the model will come apart. And with the double deck models, you can actually use a screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver or a scraper, and get it in between the 2 decks to pull the models apart. And the models, the double deck ones, will separate there, and you can see the line when you look closely at the model itself. The single deck ones are a little bit different, so let's have a look at one of those now. Now, the EFE single deck models have 3 poles and 3 clips, and I've looked at countless examples and it seems to be a universal situation. If it's a single deck model, they will have 3 poles and 3 clips holding them together. So on this relatively short model, there are still 3, and you can see the first one of these poles just there. There's one in the middle just there, although it's not showing up very well on the camera, and one at the very back of the model. I'll just tilt the camera around, and it's just there. And again, if we look underneath the model, we'll see the 3 clips. So we have 1, 2, 3. So it's the same principle as a double deck model. Now, for getting these clips out, I tend to use one of these angled little pick tools. They're very small. I'll just show you there if you see it up against the bus. You know, they're quite small, and they've got a very nice right angle and a sharp point on them that is very good for digging into these clips and getting them removed. Now, if you want to use these clips or rejoin the model using clips rather, you need to purchase some new clips. I think you can get them from Modelzone, and I'll leave a link on the show more tab. But once you take these clips out, they will be destroyed. I don't like to put models back together with these clips and poles in them, but if you are going that way, as I say, you will need a stock of them. And what I tend to do is put my little point of the pick tool around the perimeter of the clip and just start to prise it away. If you are doing this and you're a younger modeller, please take care. Whatever tool you use, there is a risk of injury, and if you're not sure about it, please ask somebody a little bit older to do this stage for you. Right, 7 or 8 minutes later, and a little bit of a battle, and the debris speaks for itself. You see, these clips, they're not designed to be removed, and that's why I say they get destroyed in the process. And be under no illusions, removing these clips is a violent process. There's the damage to the model, and again, that's why I say, if you're not sure, please don't do this on your most expensive prized possession. Couple of things. If you find that these clips really won't budge, then there are a couple of alternatives. One option is to use a heat gun and apply some heat to the clips, which can soften them up. But of course, if you're going to do that, then remember to remove the tyres from the vehicle before you start. Another option is to use a Dremel type device. I use that phrase because I don't actually use a Dremel. I use an Amtech rotary device with various attachments, and on the end of that you can put something like this attachment here, and that will allow you to work your way around those clips. It's a bit like a dentist drill. That if you don't like the dentist drill, it's probably not going to be your favourite way out, but it's another way to remove these clips. But I always think cleanest is best, and that little pick tool has never let me down yet. But I was thinking when I started with this what else you might use if you didn't have one. So there's a couple of choices. So now we've got our clips removed. Let's just take the top off. That's what's left. Our 3 poles with the remaining parts of the clips on them. I'm just going to take those off now with a pair of mini pliers, and then we'll see the poles themselves. So there we are. Let's remove those. You can just see the one of them fell on the floor, but the two of the 3 pieces we just saw are there. Simple pair of mini pliers. We've taken out the interior, and just there now we have our 3 poles exposed in the vehicle. They're going to come out, and we'll remove the glass as well. So again, take our pliers and remove 1, 2, 3 of these poles. Easy enough to do. There's our 3 poles. 1, 2, 3. You can see they've gone from the inside of the vehicle there, and we've also removed the glass. That's the interior, the remaining parts of our plastic clips, and a vehicle chassis. Why would you want to do all this? Well, a number of reasons. You might be wanting to produce a code-free model bus, and that would involve stripping down and respraying the body. You might want to apply some weathering to a vehicle, and whilst you can do it with the vehicle intact, if you're going to go to the detail of applying some weathering, you might as well tackle the inside, the interior. And if you're a regular to this channel, you know that I really don't like these one piece, one colour injection moulded interiors. They look awful, and I can't see the point in doing detailed work to the model on the outside if the inside doesn't really follow up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to apply some weathering to this model bus, and that'll be in the next video. The whole reason for doing this is that today is Thursday, but last Sunday I visited a model railway exhibition in Frome in Somerset, and it was a lovely day out and nice to meet a few people. The model railways that I saw were of a very high standard, but I did note that a lot of the vehicles on those model railways, and particularly the buses, had the appearance of brand spanking new vehicles. And of course you can pass that, but why not have something that is a little bit more reflective, especially if you've gone to the trouble of applying weathering to your trains. So next time out, we're going to be weathering this model bus. That's it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. How to remove or dismantle an EFE single deck bus. Exactly the same principles as our double deck bus. 3 poles instead of 2, 3 clips instead of 2. That's it. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time on St Blazey Model World. Bye for now.